final rodeo for Junior Motorsports, Elliott Sadler, Dale Jr., and the whole deal for 2016. All right, I agree. Enough said. Case closed. Let's seal up the envelope, put it in the mailbox, stick a fork in it. We're done. That's it. Now, let's move on to a subject that I take so dearly to my heart. Let's talk about let's talk about round 1, 2, 3, and 4 here, and let's talk about how embarrassing this is for NASCAR, for us, for everybody else. Before we do that, let's take a quick station break. It's 9:30 here, WMRG 95.3 with the G-Man here, and your host of the show tonight, Mr. Wesley Outland here. Penalties. Let's first of all, let's talk about your favorite subject. Let's talk about restarts. Let's make some comments, Wesley, on some restarts here, starting back from maybe a little bit before New Hampshire.
Well, Chicagoland, there was a restart in the race, and Jeff Gordon was ahead by a mile.
And by a mile? How about the half a track?
Okay, a mile. Well, it's an exaggeration, damn it. But basically, he took off when everybody else didn't. And, you know, the rule book states that the leader goes first. Well, Jeff Gordon was not the leader. NASCAR let him get away with it. Well, the next week, everybody, and it already had been going on before Chicagoland, everybody had been complaining and, you know, oh, they got to do this, they got to do that, the leader should go first, blah, blah, blah. NASCAR point blank told him in the driver's meeting, if you jump and we catch you, we have brought in new state-of-the-art NASCAR equipment to look at this stuff.
Yeah, binoculars.
If we find and calculate that you went before the leader, we're going to park you. Well, the short end of that stick was Brett Keselowski. And, you know, you know, NASCAR had to make an example out of somebody, and they did it to BK. What can I say? I like Brad. I think he's an awesome driver. But, you know, he was upset. He was upset about it because, you know, here's the thing. And I'll steal a quote from Kyle Petty from last week in the post-race show from New Hampshire. They're not mad when they're not the guilty party. They want justice then. But when the shoe's on the other foot and it happens to them, then it's woe is me. Why did this happen to me? And that's what Brad Keselowski said. He didn't bash the media. He didn't bash NASCAR. You know, he was like, well, I thought this was an entertainment sport and blah, blah, blah. You know, he was probably told by his PR man what to say. So,
but you got to remember, let me interject something here. You got to remember, though, Wesley, throughout the 2015 season here, there have been incidents where Keselowski has not been the most favorite duck in the pond.
Oh, absolutely. You're right. But who hasn't? I mean, there was a time where Jeff Gordon wasn't the favorite duck in the pond.
No, absolutely.
Seriously, there's been times where Dale Jr. has done some things and wasn't the favorite duck in the pond. Or Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, okay? Remember flicking off the camera at Homestead in the championship and they black flagged him? I mean, there's just all sorts of stuff like that. You know, bottom line is this, and I said again, If you're not the guilty party, you want justice. But if you're the victim of what's happening, you're being penalized for, why is it being done to me? What did I do to deserve this? Look, bottom line, here it is. And this is the way it needs to be. There is a restart box. The leader starts the race. If you go before the leader throws the green, then you should be penalized. It happens all across the country. In dirt track racing, in asphalt racing, the leader the flagman is the initial starter of the race. On a restart after a caution, the leader goes first. You do not go until that leader revs up. Now, there was a talk about possibly brake checking, and gee, man, we've seen brake checking. You see it at dirt tracks, you see it at asphalt tracks. Yes, that happens. Did Greg Biffle brake check? I don't know. I really look at the telemetry of what NBC Sports Network had of the mile per hour speed, and it showed that he was staying at that speed limit until it was time to go. Now, if you look on the left and look at Brad Keselowski, it went from 45 to 55 down to 50 back to 57. So
yeah, I agree. But here's the question, though, Wesley. Here's the question.
Yeah.
And this is something that, you know, from a race fan's perspective, let's forget about you and I as the media. Let's look at it as a race fan's perspective here.
I love it as a race fan. I freaking love it.
All right. Was it a show of favoritism, or was it just because it was Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski. I mean, let's look at the bottom line. If I was a race fan, I'd say, oh, wait a minute now. What the hell's going on here? Jeff Gordon get away with it, but Brad can't? I would have said that as a show of favoritism, wouldn't you? I mean, let's throw the cards on the table.
Listen, I'm going to be honest here, and this is stepping out of the role as announcer, PR guy. I have watched many NASCAR races, and I have seen many horrid restarts. I have seen restarts in NASCAR where I'm like, how in the hell did they not throw the caution on that one? Because if that would have been at a Saturday night racetrack, if it would have been a fast track event, I know race director Kelly Carlton or Stan Lester would have called for a caution immediately and had them be given a warning or been put a spot back. And it's got to the point where it's got so out of hand. This is what's happened. Oh, you get me revved up here, G-Man. This is what has happened. we have got it now where NASCAR told the teams, we're going to do away with a lot of the things. We're going to, have at it, boys. Do what you want to do. But what's happened is it has chaos and spiraled out of control. And now NASCAR has let the prisoners run the asylum. The guards don't have control anymore. So NASCAR is like, okay, guys, we've got to stop this. If you don't want to put a stop to it, we got to put a stop to it. They have to. Now, in my opinion, if I'm Greg Biffle, mind you, and that little Brad Keselowski on my inside tried to brake check me or was trying to speed up on me on a restart, me personally, I'd have spun him out. Bottom line, I would have done that to get his attention. Hey, dude, I'm the leader. I go first. Or I'd have revved up beside him. I would have done something to give him a gesture of, hey, dude, what are you doing here? And it's got to the point now where NASCAR has got to do something to get these drivers' attentions because the drivers aren't doing it themselves. You and I both know, G-Man, off the record here, not as announcers or media people, there's been some horrible restarts in NASCAR.
Oh, there's been some disgraceful restarts.
I think I can remember, a matter of fact, and this is the God's honest truth, the last time that I can remember NASCAR or a flagman for NASCAR throwing a caution flag on a bad restart was the 2000 running of the Winston. The all-star race at Charlotte, Dole Ford did not like a restart between Jeff Gordon and Dale Jarrett. Jarrett jumped before Gordon got to the line. Ironically, it's Jeff Gordon again. And they threw a caution because, well, it's the all-star race. This is a non-points event. This race is for the fans. That's BS. If you jump the start, you need to throw a caution, NASCAR, and you need to reprimand that driver. Put him to the rear, put him to the tail, put him a spot back, whatever you got to do. You're going to get more respect gained and earned by the fans back if you let that happen than letting a driver jump the restart and get away with it. NASCAR had to black flag Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, whoever, he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like you said about U.S. bonding, bad things happen to good people. That's what happened at New Hampshire last weekend on that restart to Brad Keselowski.
Well, I got to agree with you on everything. Only thing that I've always said is if you're going to throw the mark at somebody, you might as well start at the top. If you're going to drop a flag, you're going to drop a bomb, you're going to penalize somebody. Once you set that precedent, now, here's my thing. Here's my only flip side to that whole deal, Wesley. Now that you've done that, now that you have thrown that mark out there with Keselowski and you've let somebody else, as we said, or may want to agree, get away with it, will we stick to these guns? Will we see this again? Will they make an example out of somebody else now? Or was this just a one-time thing? This is my thing. If you're going to do it now, you're almost at the end of the season. We have seen some of the most god-awful, goofiest starts this year in racing. I've seen better starts at go-kart tracks. I literally have seen better starts at a go-kart track than we have seen this year.
And you and I both know that at a go-kart track, if you jump the damn restart, they're going to throw a caution and put you a spot back or go to the tail.
I mean, it is. That's the bottom line. Now, like I say, all said and done, it's over with now. You can't rehash it. But let's just see, and we'll end it at this point here because I want to talk about these wonderful points and fines that are so exhilarating here. I use that term so loosely. It's like a pair of baggy shorts on a fat man.
Oh my God!
You know, it really is. But here's the deal: we've set the mark. We've done it. It's over with. NASCAR. My word to you is, if you've done it once, you better do it again.
Oh, but by the way, here's breaking news. Came from the teleprompter to do that. So yeah, you got NASCAR announced yesterday that they are going to increase the restart zone by 140 feet.
Big deal.
So they feel like that will give the drivers more of a chance to go.
Yeah, that'll give them a better chance to find a reason to piss somebody off. That's about it. All right, enough said on that. Let's talk about something here that everybody is so dear and near to here. Over the last couple of weeks here, actually we go back about a week or so here, a serious fine was imposed on the 15 car. We're talking $75,000 fine and a suspension along with probation. Wesley, your comments on the Clint Boyer deal with the 15 car, $75,000 and the suspension.
Well,
I know you love to talk about this.
Opinions vary. You know, my thing is this. Look, again, as I said about the whole restart stuff, NASCAR let these guys do what they wanted to do for a long amount of time and get away with things, and NASCAR has got to the point where they have to get control. They have to restore some type of order. Is it harsh? Yes. Is it ridiculous? Yes. But I think NASCAR, like you said, is trying to make an example out of somebody, and the Clint Boyer racing team was, they were the short end of the stick.
But, and a lot of fines, over the years of NASCAR, they've imposed some, serious fines, upwards of $250,000, suspensions for a year. NASCAR has done some serious, fines and suspensions here. But, $75,000, this is the time of the season right now where, you got to look at the infraction. Was this infraction, did it warrant a probation and suspension? Did it warrant $75,000? Let's look at the infraction itself here, the severity of it.
Well, tell our viewers on Life in the Fast Lane what the infraction was.
Well, here's what we're coming down with here. I'm just going by the stats right here, and I honestly don't have the entire infraction here. This is why I'm saying I'm reading this here off a press release here. It doesn't give me any information here for the fine other than the crew chief, the car chief suspended for 3 races, and a $75,000 fine imposed to the crew chief on the 15 car. It's not a closed subject here. So where do we stand here with the infraction?
Again, I think NASCAR had to make an example out of somebody, and Clint Boyer was his racing team was on the deal. Is it harsh? I do believe it's so harsh. I think it is. I think that NASCAR has put themselves in a position where they have let drivers and teams get away with things that now they have to get their attention. They got to make them realize, okay, we're the boss. We're the law. We're the law here. And if you don't follow what we're going to do, we're going to punish you. We're going to get your attention. Let's face it, Clint Boyer's had a crappy year anyway. What else could they do to hurt him any more than what he is? He's going to a new race team, for God's sake. Seriously, it's like, all right, well, maybe I shouldn't have said it that way, G-Man, but it's just, let's face it, Boyer wasn't even going to make the chase until he had that last-minute caution, and he was able to get a couple of spots with that last restart at Richmond to make it in by the skin of his teeth in the chase. He's not had a good year. He's not had a successful year. And I like Clint Boyer.
All right, I just got the teleprompt in now here on this $75,000 deal here. Okay. Yep. And let me reiterate here on this $75,000 deal so the fans understand this here. The $75,000 fine here was imposed here for a ruling in Friday's inspection. Okay, Clint Boyer's team was apparently a